What's up, friends? All right, I'm getting all of my ingredients ready to make today's dinner. We're gonna have tomato basil soup, roasted tomato basil soup. I've got a whole bunch of vine-ripened tomatoes, some fresh basil. We're going to season it up perfectly, add a little sugar, add a little cream. It's gonna be so good. It is the perfect soup for spring and summer. So stick around today. On Mom's Dinner, we're making tomato basil soup for dinner. All right, I've got my little oven preheating to 400 degrees. The first step is to roast some tomatoes. We need 3 pounds of vine-ripened tomatoes, and I actually just took them off the vine. That is the smell of summer. So this is a great recipe if you like to grow your own tomatoes. All right, so you can either half them or quarter them. I think I'm gonna quarter my tomato today. And then we're gonna very, very lightly de-seed them. You don't wanna squeeze them to death, you know. It's fine if there's some seeds in there, but I just give them a little squeeze, kind of give them a little scrape to get some of those seeds out of there. And that's it. So I'm gonna continue this process with all 3 pounds of tomatoes. I'm working with a smaller oven in this kitchen, so I'm gonna divide these up into 2 sheet pans. You don't wanna crowd your pan because then they won't roast, they'll steam. And that's not what we're looking for. We want some of those sugars to develop and create a bunch of flavor. So that looks better. So if you're working with just a traditional oven, put it on a really large rimmed baking sheet and that will work great. So now what we're gonna do is drizzle these with 2 tablespoons of olive oil or extra virgin olive oil. Be generous with your oil. And then you want to sprinkle on a little bit of kosher salt. And then we're gonna get these popped in the oven, roast for 45 minutes. All right, while those tomatoes are roasting, we're going to go ahead and get the onions and the garlic and all of that started. So I'm gonna add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil or extra virgin olive oil to a large pot. And then you want 1 yellow onion. You want to finely chop or mince this onion so that when it comes time to puree the soup, that the onions will puree down. Now we're gonna saute them in that oil, and it's totally okay if they start to caramelize and brown a little bit. That will just be delicious flavor. And as always, work with a really sharp knife. It makes your kitchen experience so much better. And I'll tell you, if you ever need a gift idea for somebody that you're like, they have everything, or they like to cook, but they have all their kitchen stuff already, get them knife sharpening. Telling you, it is the best gift. I've used a company called Knife Aid a few times, not a sponsor or anything like that. I've given it as a gift and I've used it myself a few times. Such a great thing, because a lot of people don't think about sharpening their knives. They use their knife rod from their knife block, but that's just honing the knife. If you want to actually sharpen it, actually creates a whole new blade. Okay. That was my tip for the day, Tip Tuesday. Normally I like to use my little, vegetable chopper thing for my onions because they hurt my eyes so bad, but that doesn't get them quite fine enough. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and put these right into that oil and get them softening, maybe caramelizing for 10 to 15 minutes. So now what we're gonna do is add these 5 or 6 garlic cloves in with those onions. I like to wait to add the garlic cloves for 2 reasons, really. One, because while the onions are caramelizing, the garlic will tend to burn while the onion caramelizes, and we don't want that. The second reason is because I find if you add the garlic a little bit later than the onions, the garlic flavor will be a little bit more pronounced, and that's delicious. That's a pile of garlic. All right, I'm gonna let this just saute for a few minutes. Now at this point, if your tomatoes still, it looks like ours have about 24 minutes left. So you can always turn the heat off on these onions and garlic so that they don't burn before the tomatoes are ready. I have made this recipe with both of these types of tomato. A whole peeled tomato, I went ahead and just put the whole entire can in, and then with clean hands, I kind of crunched up some of the tomatoes. I've also made it with crushed tomatoes, and I think this is what I'm gonna use today. I happen to have fire roasted ones from Trader Joe's, but just a regular one is great too. What I do recommend is buying high quality canned tomato product, the best one that you can afford at the grocery store. All right, I'm gonna grab out these roasted tomatoes, and they look incredible. They even got some little charred bits from my smaller little oven. If you feel a way about the skins, you could pull them off. Totally not necessary though. But you want to get all of these roasted tomatoes and their collected juices into the pan with the onions and garlic. We are going to pour in 3 cups of chicken stock. And with pouring that in, I'm gonna scrape up a few of kind of that fond flavor on the bottom of the pan. Now we're gonna add in 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. This is what balances all that tart tomato flavor. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil, and 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano. And I don't think this is in the recipe, but I'm gonna add just a dash or 2 of red pepper flake. But maybe I'm not going to. Oh my gosh, never mind, I can't get it open. Okay, fine. All right, we're gonna pour in that 28-ounce can, ooh, of crushed tomatoes and all the juices. And I'm gonna get that stirred in, and then we're gonna chop up some fresh basil. All right, I've got some fresh basil that I just got at Trader Joe's. I went to Trader Joe's today, if you can't tell. And you'll need about 2 cups of fresh basil. So usually when you buy fresh basil at the store, it will come like that. So it's got the kind of woody stem and then the leaves. Down towards the leaves, you can still use those stem ends, but the stem end that's closer to the root, you want to discard that. So I'll just discard that, and then I'll get that all chopped up. I'm just eyeballing. I'm not sure if it's 100% 2 cups, but pretty dang close. All right, I'm gonna give this one last stir, and then I'm gonna put the lid on just kind of halfway or 3/4 of the way. And I'm gonna let this simmer for about 20 minutes. All right, this simmered, and I'm telling you, my kitchen smells incredible. What we're gonna do is puree this soup. You have a few different options. You could probably use like a food mill. I'm not doing that. You could also maybe use a food processor. I haven't tried that method, but that should work. You could definitely transfer this to a blender. You want to be careful putting hot liquids in a blender. Make sure that some of the steam can escape. What I'm going to do is use my immersion blender. You know, I didn't have one of these for years because I was like, I don't need any more kitchen equipment. But I actually use this a lot, and it comes apart so it stores really easily, and they're actually not that expensive. So I'll link one of these little jobbers down in the description box. So there's a little power button on the back. There's a little dial on top for speed, and it blends it right in the pot. So I'm gonna blend this up and get it pureed. I've got it pureed pretty good. Oh. Whoa. But we're not done yet. I'm gonna stir in 2 cups. If it doesn't go over the brim of this pot. 2 cups of heavy cream. We're gonna let that simmer together. Not even simmer, we're just gonna let it warm through for about 5 more minutes. And then it's gonna be time to dish this baby up for dinner. It is heated through and it smells so good. I cannot wait to have some. And look what I got open, the red pepper flakes. So I'm gonna put just a few, that seems like a lot, a few red pepper flakes in there. That's totally optional. And I'm gonna ladle out a bowl of this. And you know what this is really good with? You already know, grilled cheese sandwiches. Good. Wowza. Ooh, my mouth is watering. I really hope that you make this roasted tomato basil soup in your kitchen and it helps you feel like a success at dinner time. I know it will. So good. Let me know in the comments if you make this one. I would love to know, and I would love to know if your family loved it or your friends, whoever you're making it for. It makes a pretty big pot, so this is one to share for sure. And join me next week for another recipe video on Tuesday of something you can make in your kitchen. Until then, have a wonderful week ahead. See ya.